Hey everyone, I want to do a quick video here on setting up a dry fire routine at home. Now, we have to keep in mind the 4 rules of gun safety. The first is always treat all guns as if they were loaded. That means if I set my gun down on the table here, when I come back, I'm going to assume that ninjas rappelled in from the ceiling and slid around into the chamber, even though I know I left it empty. Rule number 2 is always keep your gun pointed in a safe direction. Well, that way is a safe direction for me. Rule number 3 is always keep your finger off the trigger until you've made the decision to shoot and your sights are on target. We'll work on that today as well. And rule number 4 is always be aware of your target and what's going on around it. In our case, be aware of what's going on in the room. Make sure there's nobody downrange even though your gun's pointed in a safe direction. So, with that in mind, I'm going to start my dry fire routine. And because I carry concealed on a regular basis, chances are I'm going to start with a live firearm. Let's take a look here. Yep, that's a live firearm. So we need to deal with this. I'll be right back. What I've done now is I've removed the live ammunition from the gun and that was inside the gun, the magazine that was inside the gun, and the spare magazine I usually keep here. And I've replaced it with this empty magazine that has a dry fire insert in it. But I walked away from my gun. So I don't know, even though it's locked and unloaded, maybe, I don't know, leprechauns popped up or something. So I'm going to pick the gun up, visually make sure there's nothing in the chamber, and then stick my pinky in there to make sure that there's nothing in the chamber or in the magazine well. We're good to go. I'm going to insert this magazine. This follower allows me to rack the slide with a magazine in there. Now I know that this gun is safe. It's not going to leave my hands, and if it does, I'll check it again after I set it down. I'm going to go ahead and reholster it. And this is my dry fire routine. It starts off pretty much the same way every time. I do 5 slow draws from the holster just to get the natural process, help my nerves myelinate a little bit. So just come up, grab, clap, and out. Press. Rack slide, safety on. Back to the holster. I'm going to do that 5 times. Just to get used to everything. Then I'm going to speed it up a little bit. I'm going to go at about full speed, pretty close to that. Where I just stand. Normally what I'll do is I'll have a beep on the dry fire app that's on my phone, but right now my phone is being used to record this video, so we can't do that. So it'll look just something like this. And back to the holster. Do that 5 times. Now, because I'm working on a specific goal here, and that is to achieve IDPA Master, I'm also going to practice some of the skills that I need in order to achieve that goal. And in this case, it's 5 consistent trigger presses. Now, you'll notice that I'm not going to rack the slide between these 5 consistent trigger presses for each time. All the stages in the IDPA Master have 5 shots per stage. So I'll do what I did just there, but I'll press my finger on the trigger. It won't go click, but I'll have that motion. The goal is here to train my trigger finger to do 5 presses on the trigger and not disturb the sights. Same thing as before, where I just come up and back to the holster. And part of that also is one-handed shooting. So I'm going to do the same thing, but with one hand. There you go. And that's my dry fire routine. When I'm done with my dry fire routine, I say to myself, I'm going to stop dry fire now. I'm going to lock my gun back, pop my dry fire magazine out, and reload my gun for concealed carry. That's all there is to it. You don't have to do this every day. 5 to 10 minutes of dry fire, 2-3 times, well, every 2 to 3 days, that's really all you need. Easy to do, it's easy to set up. The hardest part of doing this, actually, quite frankly, was setting up my camera and getting all this thing ready to go. So please, do your dry fire. It's going to make a tremendous difference in your marksmanship ability. And it's going to make the difference between you being just an okay shooter and one that stands out among your friends.